Welcome back. News and Talk 1380 WAOK, the voice of the community. Patillo podcast edition. We're traveling this week. We're talking more about it later on in the show. But breaking news for us. This is old news for you on Sunday. I'm recording this on Friday. President Trump has announced that he is endorsing Jim Jordan to be the next Speaker of the House. Donald Trump will not be running or put his candidacy out there for Speaker of the House. I'm sure some people talked to him and explained to him, you can't be Speaker of the House and also be facing the felony federal indictments at the same time. I think that might actually be a House rule that exists. So even if he wanted to be the Speaker of the House, I think he might be barred from doing so. And they spared him the embarrassment of going all the way down to Washington, D.C. to try to become Speaker of the House, only to find out that he can't become one because he's, indicted for multiple or 91 felony charges. Remember the picture from South Carolina a couple weeks ago when he tried to buy a Glock gun with his face engraved on it, and then he was about to pay for it with cash. He was about to buy the gun, and then one of his aides had to step in and take it and inform him that because he is under felony indictment, he can't purchase a gun. And indeed, then the store owner tried to just give him the gun, but that will be a straw purchaser because you can't buy a gun and then give it to somebody who's under felony indictment. Makes sense as a rule, but it's just a crazy thought that the former president of the United States of America can't buy a gun, can't run for Speaker in the House, has all these restrictions on him. I'm going to read the quote from Donald Trump that he put up on Truth Social endorsing Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House. So Donald Trump says, Congressman Jim Jordan has been a star, all caps, long before making a very successful journey to Washington, D.C., representing Ohio's 4th Congressional District, respected by all. He is now the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. As president, I had the honor of presenting Jim with our country's highest civilian award, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So much is learned from sports, and Jim was a master. While attending Graham High School, he won the state championship all 4 years, a rarity, and compiled an amazing 156-1 record. At University of Wisconsin-Madison, Jim became a two-time NCAA Division I wrestling champion. He won the 1985-86 NCAA championship matches in his weight class. Jim had the master's degree in education from Ohio State University, a law degree from Capital University. He is strong on crime, borders, our military vets, and Second Amendment. Jim, his wife Polly, and family are outstanding. He will be a great Speaker of the House, has my complete and total endorsement. And he left out the part about Jim covering up the child molester. Seems like that's just a thing that Republicans do, that when they're on your side, you can do no wrong. They will ignore all the scandals against you. The minute that they don't need you anymore, you're no longer useful, they bring all of it out. Madison Cawthorn was accused of sexual assault, accused of abusing women, accused of DUIs and all these other things. That was fine. He went on a podcast and talked about the Republican cocaine orgies they used to have, and then they threw him out of Congress. Matt Gaetz was a darling of the right. They paid no attention to his 2008 DUI. They paid no attention to all the plastic surgery he's had. They paid no attention to all the drugs he's on. But then as soon as he ousted Kevin McCarthy, all of a sudden we have mainstream Republicans talking about the fact that he paid underage prostitutes and showed pictures of pornography on the House floor and those sorts of things because he's no longer useful and they want to expel him from Congress now. And the same thing with Jim Jordan. Right now, he's a conservative darling. If he makes a bipartisan agreement to keep the government open, all of a sudden Republicans will be talking about all those kids that he let get molested, because that's what the Republican Party is. They are moral relativism. It's all about what benefits them at that given time. They put no effort in throwing George Santos out of Congress, but Jamal Bowman, the black congressman from New York, accidentally pulled the fire alarm instead of opening the door. Because if you ever been in the Capitol, the things are a little bit confusing. I'll give him credit for that. It is a red thing that says fire on it, so that makes it a little bit difficult to say you were confused, but it could happen. It's a plausible excuse. But they're giving him more heat for that, and Fetterman more heat for wearing a hoodie than they are Jim Jordan for covering up a child molester. And that's just the moral rot of the Republican Party that we're seeing. But Jim Jordan as Speaker of the House would be an absolute cluster. It would be a tire fire. We are talking about, and we're going to play probably a clip of him just so you guys can understand, because it's one of the things that's difficult to kind of put into words. Jim Jordan is a little bit like if you put a raccoon in a cage with a whole lot of cocaine. That's the energy that he gives off, and it's all rapid fire. It's all exceedingly stupid. He's at every Judiciary Committee hearing saying something dumb. You remember him, the reason Trump is supporting him is because during the impeachment hearing, Jim Jordan was the primary person supporting and defending Donald Trump during the first impeachment. And so this is kind of the payback that they get. But Jim Jordan, his primary goal as the Speaker of the House would not be anything for the country. Number one would be to defund Jack Smith, to take any funds away from the Jack Smith investigation in order to stop them from prosecuting Trump. Number two will be investigating Hunter Biden. We will see so many Hunter Biden investigation and probes, etc., that it'd be nearly impossible for us to govern anything else going on in the country. Number three will be impeaching Biden, because they've already said they want to impeach Biden. They had the hearing where they have said they have no reason to impeach Biden. They don't need a reason. They just want to do it as retribution and hoping that it will hurt Biden going into the 2024 campaign cycle. They've all but taken any value away from the concept of impeachment. It's now just a thing that happens that nobody really cares about, because they start throwing it around so cavalierly that now they are planning an impeachment and looking for a reason to do it, even though they know they don't have the votes for that to pass. And then we can look forward to, of course, government shutdown in 45 days, because a Speaker of the House, Jim Jordan, is not going to make any deals with Democrats. There will be no bipartisan agreement to keep the government open. It will be more than likely a longer shutdown than even this one could have been, because with no movement, somebody's going to have to blink at some point in time, and you may end up with a situation for Jim Jordan, Speaker of the House, where we're going past Christmas still for government shutdown. The reason being is that in Washington, and we talked about this at the end of 2021, when you have an election year, all business for the government pretty much has to get done by that period between Thanksgiving and Christmas, the year before an election year. So 2022 was a midterm election year. You saw during that period of time infrastructure get done, that $1.7 trillion. You saw the omnibus spending bill get done, $3.5 trillion. That's kind of the period of time where you have like those last minute big bills getting done. And with Jim Jordan, Speaker of the House, none of those things are taking place. Indeed, the government may still be shut down. We will end up seeing a place in America where nearly nothing will happen. Our credit rating as a country will slip. We'll go into receivership. We'll hit a recession. If you think prices are high now, wait to see what will happen when we don't have a functioning federal government. And Republicans are okay with this because they think if they sink the country far enough, nobody will blame Congress. They will blame Joe Biden. And if you're able to defund the Jack Smith investigation so that Donald Trump's not in jail, potentially you can carve out a causeway to get Trump back in office and to get Republicans to maintain a majority in the House. And it doesn't matter if you have to sacrifice the country in order to do so. And so now the question is, returning to those 18 Republicans from swing districts, will any of them not vote for Jim Jordan? Will 5 of them not vote for Jim Jordan? Is there an opportunity that Democrats with their 212 votes, I mean, you had to get 217 because Republicans had someone pass away. That's part of the reason also that you haven't seen Republicans trying to kick George Santos out, for example, because then you'll go from 217 down to 216. That's part of the reason they haven't gotten rid of Lauren Boebert, who's in a district where she'll be replaced by a Democrat in the next election. She barely won the last election during the midterms, so that'll take you down to 215. Remember in Alabama, they're redrawing the districts there to create 2 new African-American districts. That's going to take them down to 213 to 200 and to the Democratic side of the aisle. So you're seeing quickly the math is not on their side, so they have to get everything done they can right now, because come 2024, Democrats have a very good chance of retaking the House with probably a 10 to 20 vote margin, and then that march towards 60 in the Senate. So this is that last ditch effort. This is the point where we've now entered the scandal area of American politics, where we've jumped the shark. Nothing more ridiculous can happen because we've already gotten things as ridiculous as possible. And Jim Jordan will be that season 5 season finale with the cliffhanger for season 6, which will be the election, to let you know that Republicans have completely divested themselves of the need to actually try to govern the United States of America. We'll be back after the break. News and Talk 1380 WAOK.